Hello, welcome back to the Chelsea debate. My name's Dom Toner, and joining me as always, Josh Langford. Josh, are you okay, mate?
Oh, I'm brilliant, mate.
Good stuff. This week, we are going to do the Timo Werner debate, and you'll never guess where we got the name from, okay? And if you want to get involved, agree, disagree, anything to do with Werner, please tweet in at Chelsea_debate. Right. We've not really got a plan of how we're going to do this. We just want to delve into Timo Werner, his start at Chelsea, where it's going wrong, maybe where things are going right. So let's get into it straight away. I'll pose it to you. What's his best position?
Well, it is centre forward. Obviously, that's where he's been deadly for Leipzig. Stats also sort of do back him up on that. For Leipzig, 159 games, 95 goals, and also, as you know, I love an assist. He did also get 40. So yeah, centre forward is his best position, mate. 100%. We know that.
Yeah, when we signed him, I was definitely in the camp that he's a centre forward, and that's what we signed him for. We've been crying out for a centre forward, albeit I like some of our other strikers, but I was really excited about him coming in, and he's got the pace. It's a different kind of forward to what we have, but when he runs in behind, and we've seen how effective that kind of striker can be in the Premier League, Jamie Vardy being, the king of it. So, but at the start of the season, he played on the left as well. So is he an actual option on the left? Because I just prefer him as a striker.
I agree. I prefer him as a striker, but I think he is an option on the left. Some of his goals, you go back to his Leipzig days, some of them are he comes in off the left and then sort of uses his pace, beat a man and sort of finish the move there. And again, in fairness, not to sort of get too hung up on the stats, but he's played 56 games as a left winger, 11 goals and 7 assists. Now, don't get me wrong, it's nowhere near as prolific as what he is as a centre forward, but there are worse left wingers in the world. When you're looking at those, and okay, it's in the Bundesliga, so you're into the Premier League. It's generally a faster league. We know that.
Yeah.
But I think he can be used as a left winger, but he's just not as effective. So it just sort of it depends on the game for me. And then, as you've just sort of said yourself, we've got different options up front, different types of player. So it's sort of like different strokes for different folks, isn't it? It depends on your game plan for each individual game. But he's definitely an option there.
See, for me, I'd prefer. Well, Pulisic and Hudson-Odoi obviously can play on both sides. I prefer a winger like that, they're agile, they're one-on-one, that's their strengths. I'm not quite sure Timo's got that. It's sort of like that FIFA player where you knock it and you run. I don't know if he's quite got the agility as those two, so I prefer that. But if we look at, him as a player, we've got to talk about his finishing, because one of the main things that every Chelsea fan's getting frustrated about is he's missed a lot of chances. He's getting in the position, so his movement's good, isn't it? But he's not putting the chances away, and that's what you need of a striker.
Yeah, it is what you need, but every striker throughout history, but certainly through our sort of time of watching football, they have bad phases that hits a run of 10 games where they have a goal drought. And for me, I always look at, people may disagree, but I always look at their movement. Are they getting in the right position? Because if you're in the right position, for me, that's half the battle. Yeah. At some stage, you're going to start scoring again. And then you hit one goal, it's like it can sort of spark a little bit of a run. So the fact that he's getting in the position to miss these chances, it's half the battle. I'm not getting too hung up on the misses. Yeah, it's bad. And, there has been some sort of videos circulating on social media that, a little highlight reels of all the missed chances.
Yeah.
But he's still getting in the positions, and that's the main thing for me. I'd be more worried if he was just in no man's land all the time and not involved with the movements.
Yeah, it's confidence, isn't it, for a striker? So he's getting in the positions, like you say, but the Burnley game that we won at the weekend finally got a win. Felt like ages. He had a couple of chances that I remember off the top of my head. There was a header, was a decent chance. It was quite far out, that was on target. And there was one that, if you remember it, pulled back to the penalty spot.
Yeah.
And it just went wide. But it's just, when you're in form, they're the sort of first-time finishers. You don't even think about it. It's instinctive. You just go, you hit it. And that's a confident striker. He's not got that at the minute, has he?
Yeah, as you just said, it's form. I always go back to, and I always think of Harry Kane at
Mm.
the World Cup. You know, the ball hit him by accident, bounced up and went in the net. That's just a sort of look when it's all going right for you, when you're in form, that
Mm.
sort of thing will happen. When it's against you and confidence is low, I think the biggest danger is that people start overthinking.
Yeah.
And I think that's what he's doing, because if you look, he's always trying to do something, but it's almost like he's trying too hard. So, I
Yeah.
mean, hopefully, you know, the new managers come in, you know, you'd like to think, you know, a new method, but, you know, he spoke positively about him in the media. So hopefully that confidence will start to build. But ultimately, it's got to come from within. And we can't forget that he's only 24. So it's not, you know, it's not like he's in the, you know, traditional prime of his career at sort
Yeah.
of 27 to 32. So I think it'll come. I just think it's the perfect storm. You know, there's no fans this year with the pandemic. It's a new club, a new league. And I just think, yeah, it's a perfect storm of stuff against him. But I mean, even still, you still look at his stats, and they're not horrific. There's been far worse imports into the league. I mean,
Yeah.
29 Chelsea games,
Yeah.
9 goals, 6 assists. And his assists, a couple have been recent. So, you know, he got one in the cup, and okay, it's against Luton, so you can question the opposition.
Mm.
But he's still doing the right things, and you've got to beat who's in front of you. So, yeah, I'm not too disheartened with it.
Yeah, he beat me to it. 9 goals, 29 games. What I've got here. That's correct, isn't it? 9 and
It
29.
is, yeah.
Well, that's not dreadful, but when we're so excited about him and obviously beat Liverpool to his signature, you know, we expected maybe a bit more. And on the chances alone, he should definitely be in double figures. I just want to talk about his form at Leipzig. And I think one of us mentioned it a minute ago. Was it 95,
Mm.
159? That's a brilliant record, isn't it? And I know people in England in particular are so caught up on the Premier League being the best league in the world. It might be. The competition, especially this year, is incredible. But the Bundesliga is not a joke. Like it's a good league, and that's an incredible record playing in Germany. And you got to think a lot of that. He's 21, 22. He's really young, so that's an incredible record. And it shows, although he's not finishing the chances, he can finish, can't he? His record's going to get better, surely, at Chelsea.
Yeah, you don't become a bad striker overnight. So, you know, his finishing's deadly.
Hmm.
And, you know, people, okay, we are hung up on as the country that our league's the best in the world. Well, you look at the Bundesliga, you know, obviously Bayern Munich, they won the Champions League last year. Dortmund, they're a great side now. You know, you go through some of their team sheet and most of their players would probably walk into a lot of Premier League sides. Leipzig, who he was at, again, some great players. So it's still a good league, and that record's incredible, particularly when, as you say, a lot of it he's a very young player, sort of learning his trade, as it sort of phrased. So it'll definitely improve. He's still getting the chances. He's just not finishing them. So, I mean, we're halfway through the season, just over. I'd still back him to score 20 goals this season. I honestly would.
I think if he scores 20 goals in his first year, it's got to be a success. But you know, so hopefully he gets to that second half, really kicks on, and like you say, as we keep repeating, first goal spark the form. I just want to look at sort of him compared to Tammy and Olivier Giroud, because completely different striker,
Mm-hmm.
obviously worlds apart. And it depends how we set up, doesn't it? But is it a case of we need to put our neck on the line, well, Thomas Tuchel does, and say, look, for the next few games, Timo Werner is going to start, because he didn't start the first game under Tuchel, but he did play and played 90 minutes, got pushed up later in the game to striker. So do you think we should just say, look, we signed him, he needs a few games now at striker, or do you like the variety in attack and maybe mixing it up? What do you think?
I like the variety because we've got sort of 3 very different strikers
Mm.
in terms of what they offer. But I do think, for the sake of Timo Werner's confidence long term, I think he needs a run at centre forward. So, I mean, the Tottenham game, I don't know. I think I would start him, but I think Tuchel possibly won't. I think he might go with Tammy or even bring Giroud back in. But he needs the run, is the takeaway. And then you go from there, don't you? You have to give him the run and see how he does. If he gets, say, 5 straight starts and scores 5 straight goals, it's a very different conversation again. And then you probably find ourselves talking about, then is Tammy going to go out on loan? So, do you know what I mean? I think he needs to be given that chance to sort of fail, because a lot of his games so far for Chelsea, he has been playing out on the left. So, and while I do think he can do our job, I don't think it's getting the best of him. When we've spent, fast approaching £50 million on a striker who most clubs in Europe wanted, you've got to give him that opportunity as a striker.
Yeah, it is quite frustrating, but he's had some chances in games, and it would look completely different if he'd taken a couple. Need a slice of luck, but hopefully this is sort of the chance now. If you look ahead, want to mention Tottenham that we play. He scored against Spurs in the League Cup game. I think it's Aspilicueta pulled it back to him, edge of the post, brilliant low finish, just smacked it in. As a player, you remember these sort of things, don't you? Although he's not in great goal scoring form, that will stick in his head. And everyone in that dressing room, our new manager included, they'll know what this game against Spurs means to the fans, not only because of how close we are in the league. We're level on points. They played a game less, but this is the game for some of us. It's a must win, and the players need to know that. So Timo, first of all, does he start? And if he does, what sort of threat can he pose?
Well, as I just said, I would start him for the reasons that you've just said. Obviously he scored past them before. Hopefully, as you just said, that's in his head. I've gotten past this defence, Lloris, before. So I would definitely start him. I don't know if Tuchel will, is the sort of short and sharp answer to that. I think Tuchel might opt for Tammy or even Giroud. It's too early to predict, but it's such a massive game because, we played an out-of-form Wolves side and that was his first game at short notice. And then obviously we beat Burnley. And we did beat Burnley well on the weekend. But it's the first true test against good opposition. So I think Tuchel might take the potential more confident players in the hope that sort of rubs off and gets us the result, because it's not a game that we need to be dropping points or even losing in, is it?
It's a massive game because if we lose that, we're going to get cut further adrift. Win it, it's a completely different outlook. I will say that Spurs, we know what they're going to do. They're without talisman Harry Kane. Well, I don't think he's out for too long. I'm going to have to check reports. But without him, they're a completely different side, aren't they, without him? Is it a couple of weeks, is it?
It said a few weeks, but I haven't seen any more than that.
Yeah, we know he's not playing on Thursday. But we know what they're going to do. They're going to sit deep. So it's, can we break it down? We've had problems with this earlier in the season. That's why I think personally we're going to stick with the wing-back system, just because we know we're going to have a lot of territory, I think, in their half. And that's why having effectively another winger in Hudson-Odoi, that will work. So the question is, do you want sort of Werner's movement in and around? Will he play off a striker? Will he go with Tammy or Giroud and play Werner in that, sort of 10 inverted winger role? It'd be interesting to see, because we're all sort of working out the team under him. I think the players are as well, but I think this will sort of say a lot, won't it, as to who he fancies, and definitely for Timo Werner. Obviously, we're mainly focusing on him, but it'll say a lot, won't it, on Thursday about where he's going to fit into his plans, I think.
Yeah, I think it does sort of give him a message. I mean, if he does get dropped, I wouldn't want him to get sort of too disheartened. I do think that it might just be because of the game and the importance of getting a result.
Yeah.
But again, I'd like to see Timo spearheading the attack, and then with Pulisic, I think we need his pace in behind, and then Mount the other side. I think obviously Pulisic is slightly out of form, but still he's not been looking terrible. He's been just sort of out of form.
He got an assist, didn't he? He came off the bench.
Yeah.
Burnley, yeah.
So I think it's something to build on. And we've mentioned in a previous video, he's played under Tuchel before, so they've got that relationship. So that might have just given him the spark. And I'd love to see him actually unleash it against Tottenham on Thursday night.
I'd love that. As you know, biggest Pulisic fan. So let's do it.
Too
okay.
Much.
In conclusion, let's just wrap it up. And I think we'll do a few of these. Maybe just look at a player. Obviously, Timo in the spotlight at the minute. That's why we've gone with him. But we can do a few. In conclusion, is he going to be a success at Chelsea? Let's just keep it simple. One word answer.
Absolutely.
Okay, there you go. You heard it. He is going to be a success.
Dom, same question. You agree?
Yes, I was hesitant, but he is. Let's just see how he fits into everything. There's still a few sort of question marks over it, but I do think he will be a success. And you know, it's half a year. We've seen players take time. Right, before we wrap this video up quickly, I know we sort of touched on it, how big that Spurs game is, but I just want to maybe look at what the manager's going to do in terms of his formation, just as sort of a last thing, if that's all right. Because I'll talk through what I think he'll do. He'll go. He'll have a goalkeeper, of course. he'll have Mendy in goal. Then he's going to stick with the back three. So we'll assume he's going for experience. Rudiger, Aspi, Silva. Then I think it's going to go the wing backs. I put a tweet out earlier about the midfield. That's sort of the main thing for me. Put a tweet out, does Jorginho get dropped? There was a lot of sort of mixed responses. Some people couldn't believe I'd asked it. They were fuming. Like, obviously, N'Golo comes back in. Others are saying, look, Jorginho's played really well the last couple of games. That's how it is. I think we can assume that the attack, any variant of it, is going to be the same. You know, the shape's going to be the same, I think. But it could be Havertz, Ziyech, anyone. But just to wrap it up, that midfield, Jorginho, Kovacic, are they going to keep the spot, or do you bring Kante in? I think it's between the three, isn't it, really?
I think so, yeah. I bring Kante in. Kovacic looked brilliant on the weekend, so he keeps his place. And Jorginho's done better, but, you know, we've discussed it on our social media pages as well. I don't think Jorginho can sort of do anything that Billy Gilmour can't already.
Yeah.
So, as you know, I might get shot down for saying this, but I'd be quite happy for Jorginho to leave. And it'd free up some time for Billy Gilmour to really kick on and develop in his own career, especially now he's not gone out on loan.
We'll see. I'm sorry I put you on the spot there, but yeah, that's
you do it, mate. It's what you do.
It is. Right, I think that we're going to call it there, but brilliant to talk about him. Our view is he is going to be a success, Timo Werner, and let's see how he gets on. But I'd love to hear from you. Tweet in at Chelsea_debate, because it's really topical at the minute, and I think let's just get behind him. Let's support him, because he's definitely got the talent. But yeah, let us know what you think. Tweet in, and we'll always reply. So yeah, let us know. But big thanks for joining us. Cheers.
Cheers, guys.